If you've tuned in for a unique take on the 1990s sketch comedy Kids in the Hall, I'm sorry, but this isn't it. This is actual children in the hall and in common areas. So, you're working security or really anywhere, and you have kids. We have a school across the street, so they'll pop on over here and chill in our hallways, plug their phones in. And honestly, I found out last summer that a lot of the parents that live nearby, not on my property, use this area as sort of a childcare, a daycare situation. And I'm out here in the ghetto, and they're like, oh yeah, just hang out there in the hallway, plug your phone in, and I'll pick you up, see if you can mooch on some Wi-Fi. It's horrible. I mean, these kids have nowhere to go to the bathroom. They're knocking on people's doors asking for Wi-Fi passwords. It's a goddamn scene. And now that the weather's getting nice, it's starting back up again. So when you see them in the hallway, once they see you, sometimes they'll kind of scatter, but most of the times they'll blatantly ignore you. And I tell you what, you're going to look me square in the eye, I'm going to ask you some questions, and we're both going to walk out of here with Christ in our hearts. And that's how it's going to go. But honestly, a lot of the times, they'll, admit, oh, I don't live here. Okay, well, you need to go. You need to get the fuck out of here. Like, make better life choices. You don't need to get initiated into a street gang as an after-school program. That's ridiculous. Get a PBS documentary on yourself, because you're a special case. You need to go on. Like I said, they're mooching Wi-Fi. They're a damn fire hazard. As far as I'm concerned, even if they're sitting there being quiet, they're no different than piles of garbage just stacked up in my way. Because it aggravates people, and they complain about it all the time, and rightfully fucking so. Because what a damn aggravation then to come home and to have to deal with Bebe's kids sitting outside your door, and you ain't getting paid a nickel to babysit them. How would you feel? Yeah, that's how I feel. Like I said in numerous other videos, we have no loitering signs, so point that out. Let them know that they could be picked up by the police, or Child Protective Services is usually my go-to, and that usually kind of spooks them. But the big problem I have is that they will blatantly ignore me. I will ask them questions, do you live here? And they'll just ignore me like I'm not fucking there. Like I'm not some crazy white mom who's not about to call the police and fully be on YouTube. Well, another YouTube, because I'm calling the police on some minority children who won't leave. So what I do in situations like that, when I approach them, like I said, I give them the opportunity to square up, look me in the eye, shake my hand, and get the fuck off my property like a man or woman, whichever. And if they refuse and they just ignore me and just sit there, they know I'm not going to lay hands on them. They know I'm not going to pull out my gun and shoot them. So they just sit there like freaking jackasses. So what does old mom do? I sit down with them. I'm not saying I sit down with them, ask them about their day, get to know them. No, I make them uncomfortable. I'll sit there, I'll start taking selfies of myself with them in the background. I'll start making loud, obnoxious phone calls to my husband about how, he needs to pick this up from the grocery store. I will start recording, my body cam footage, just want to show these trespassers. We'll need to print out their photos. And it truly, if you can't beat them, join them. And they will be so uncomfortable. They will absolutely leave. They will be mortified. And anytime somebody walks by, pretend like they're snitching. Pretend like you're taking, a tip from them, and it will spook the shit out of them, especially the older ones. Like, last summer, I had a group of probably 14 to 16-year-old boys hanging out in the hallway, and this was an everyday thing. This wasn't the little gang. These were just, honestly, kids that were bad and using, the ghetto as their after-school program, just hanging out like it's the fucking Peach Pit, and then we're in Beverly Hills. So every time someone would walk by, especially if it was a thug, I'd be like, is that the guy you saw dealing earlier? Okay, well, he fits your description. Was that the car you seen, driving around? You think they have weapons on them? I appreciate you so much for giving me all that information. And I tell you what, they're not going to fucking come back, because if they do, they're pegged as a snitch, and somebody's going to take care of them. That's my advice. If you can't beat them, join them.